Welcome one and all to the first ever Mastery podcast. Oh my God, this is going to be so much fun, Nick.
Yes, I'm very excited, Adam.
Me too. For those of you that are just tuning in, and why wouldn't you be? This is the very first episode. We wanted to give you a little bit of feedback on why we're doing this podcast, what it's about, and give you a sense of what you're in for over the next several weeks and months and years as we create this content for you, the listener. So Nick, let's talk about Mastery.
Yeah. So Mastery, this podcast is called Mastery of Money. And so in this podcast, we're really committed to really providing a lot of not just information and how-tos, but challenges that all are inside the context of what mastery is. Now, at least for me, Adam, mastery is a mountain with no top. You can never really... you could become a master, but even when you are a master also realizes that he's also a student. He or she is a student. So in this podcast, Mastery is really giving you the tools to be able to take on your life, whatever that looks like. What about you?
My take on Mastery and what I hope to convey to listeners is that Mastery is about a pursuit. It's about, constantly being on the journey, but never really reaching the destination. I think that if we approach this podcast and our listeners approach what we talk about with a beginner's mind, so that they're always fresh, the ideas that we come up with, they can look at from fresh eyes, that there will always be something to learn on the show. And so that is our goal for you. We want to talk a little bit about what this podcast is and also what it isn't. So Nick, why don't you cover what it is?
What it is? Sure. So what this podcast is I would say it's really one, it's a safe space for people to really discover and really be in the inquiry of what's not only important to them, but how they can actually achieve it. What it is a conversation hosted by you and I, and also inviting you as the listener and the audience as a watcher to really discover. This podcast is for people who are in the pursuit of mastery, who know that there's something bigger and better, and are really hungry for that. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mixture of stories. As Nick mentioned, we'll have challenges on a weekly basis. Some of those challenges might be things like how many things can you sell in your home that you no longer use and generate some revenue that you could go pay off debt or invest for the future. We'll have a small number of interviews, but our interviews are going to be a little bit different in that they're short form. They're not long form interviews. And we'll talk about that in terms of why we started this podcast in the first place. You will be entertained. We will build a community out of this. Some of the things that we do may be a bit outrageous, and we hope you tune in for those. We intend to go out and potentially give away money and pay down people's debt and do fun things as we grow. We have a segment called That Just Happened, where we highlight ridiculous money stories from the media and from the public. We also will reach into the mailbag and pull out questions from our users, our listeners, and answer those questions. Just know that what this is a teaching podcast. Our goal is to help educate you about your money so that you can have more control over your money. We have a theory that if you focus on the money now, you won't have to worry about the money later.
Mm-hmm. That's really good.
How about what this isn't?
What this isn't? Well, first of all, what this isn't is every other podcast. Right? Where there's like, at least for me, when I listen to podcasts, it's very, it can be the same and a little repetitive. Particularly around money and the pursuit of money. There's so many different experiences and case studies, if you will, and there's a wide variety of perspective that you and I provide. So what this isn't is your standard generic vanilla, this is how you do something. We're really going to dive deep and provide depth into why you're doing what you're doing, who you're being as you're taking these actions, and really like the impact that it has. So it's going to be some deep stuff. It's going to be some really powerful stuff, and it's all with the intent to expand what's possible.
Yeah. I think it would be helpful for new listeners to understand who we are.
Sure.
So I'm going to begin. My name is Adam Carroll, and I've been a financial literacy educator for the better part of 15 years. I've been on 750 college campuses, spoken everywhere from Florida State University on the East Coast to the University of Southern California on the West Coast. And everywhere in between. I have 3 books written right now. One is called Winning the Money Game. There's one called 30 Days to 1K, and my most recent book is called The Money Savvy Student. I am a 2-time TED Talk speaker. One of my TEDx events has, I think, 3.5 million views on YouTube. And I also did a documentary on student loan debt called Broke, Busted, and Disgusted. So I am a passionate student, and I'm definitely on the journey of mastery in this topic, and I'm glad you're here with me.
Yeah, totally. And so, so for you listeners and watchers, clearly Adam is qualified. I'm happy to be on the podcast with him. So for me, my name is Nicholas. Again, born and raised in the West Coast in Los Angeles. Went to school in the Bay Area, the Silicon Valley, and moved out to the Midwest to really create this content for all of you listeners and watchers. A little background, graduated with a finance degree, changed my major 7 times in college, and in the past 3 to 3.5 years, I've had 6 different jobs. So for me, I learned very quickly. I learned what to do and also learned what not to do. And professionally, I'm a financial coach, financial life coach. So I work with Olympic athletes, A-list celebrities, entrepreneurs, millennials, and college students, and really creating the conversation of examining people's relationship to money. Because I was a financial planner before, and I worked with people who had millions and millions of dollars, but for whatever reason was still unhappy and unsatisfied and unfulfilled. And so I really have made it my life work to, in partnership with Adam as well, to really shift that conversation and alter realities and really have money be a tool to fulfilling what's important versus money being the thing.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
You guys are in for such a treat with Nick. He's amazing at helping people break down their money blocks and figure out what's standing in their way from achieving what they know they're capable of. So stay tuned, because this is going to be a fun discussion when we get into money mindset and all of that. I want to talk real quickly about why we started the podcast. I believe that long form podcasts are everywhere. I think there's more and more people jumping into the market, and some of those podcasts are great and super noteworthy, and some are just talking heads. And so we don't want to be that. We want to engage with our community, but we want to make this a short form podcast. So what we are going to do is keep our podcast fairly brief and focus only on what's important. So our podcasts are meant to be bite-sized, small chunks, and easily digestible.
Yep. So whether you're on a treadmill or you're making breakfast, or if you're like me and just moved into a studio with a bathroom that has a Bluetooth stereo that I can listen to in the shower,
Nice.
On your commute to work, whatever the case is, it's really, high impact, super engaging content that'll really, be a part, if you make it into a part of your routine, which we totally invite you to, can really shift how your day goes.
Yeah, here's what you'll get out of this. You're going to get a community if you so choose. So everything that we create, we will also be posting and curating at masteryofmoney.com, as well as on our YouTube channel, Mastery of Money. So all of these videos, all the podcasts that we're creating, they will all be stored out on YouTube or on the website, along with downloadable PDFs. We have some suggestions, some best practices, things like that will be out there available for you as well. And what you'll really get out of this is a change in your mindset. Our goal is to help people create a love of the pursuit of mastery around money. A speaker that I heard one time, Nick, told me that we should all be in pursuit of mastery of something. And I thought at the time when I heard it, well, why would you not make it about money? As Zig Ziglar said, it's not the most important thing in life, but it ranks right up there with oxygen on the gotta have it scale.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yes.
That's good.
So here's what we encourage you to do. Like the podcast, follow us, subscribe, whether you're on iTunes or Spotify, and or Stitcher or SoundCloud or wherever podcasts are found. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You'll get notified every time we create one of these. And every single day, we will be putting out great new content for you, our trusted community, what we will probably lovingly refer to as explorers, right?
Explorers.
People who are explorers on the path of mastery.
Yeah.
Final words?
Look, I'm really excited to have you join our journey with us and really, allowing us to be a part of yours. So, I'm excited to get the ball rolling and, stay tuned.
Let's do it. See you tomorrow.